All these people are blowing up. Piano player. I believe that if I put hard work in, that I would get better at something. What does that tell you? Jesus Christ. Just being a good guy. Because even when I was a criminal, my motto was always to make somebody's day. Some days it meant, me robbing you. But, I didn't make your day, but I made my day. And I was having a good time, but I wasn't really feeling fulfilled. It was just felt like I went out to dinner. This podcast is brought to you by ONNIT. Go to ONNIT.com and look at the great selection of supplements. If you find something you like, press in code Joey and get 10% off delivered right to your house. What's happening, you savages? It's Monday, March the 6th. The joint is brought to you by Stamps.com. Listen, 2023 is ticking by and nobody's got time. It's already March the 6th. Who's got time to go to the post office for stamps and whatnot? Especially if you're running a small business, you need Stamps.com. Easily print postage from home or the office. They'll even send you a free scale so you have everything that you need. We've been with them with Stamps.com from over 12 years, me and my wife. Tremendous. Easy. With postage rates on the rise, Stamps.com could offer the lowest rates in the industry. Set your business up for success when you get started with Stamps.com. Sign up with promo code Joey for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter code Joey. The joint is also brought to you by Manscaped. Listen, Manscaped has your balls covered, thank God. Now, they can make your face look skinny as your package with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. The Beard Hedger gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all at a turn of a dial. No more changing out attachments. It's waterproof, so you can change you can shave in the closet. And Manscaped's beard and oil and beard balm will keep you looking barbershop fresh. And since Manscaped wants you to have all the tools for the job, they're throwing in a beard brush and a comb and scissors to make you look like $1 million. Get 20% off and free shipping with code Joey at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code Joey at manscaped.com. That's Manscaped Beard Hedger Pro Kit, the premier solution to your face grooming. The joint is also brought to you by Voila, BlueChew. 2023 is the year to up your game, and BlueChew can help. BlueChew is an online service that delivers ED medicine straight to your door with the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra at a fraction of the cost. Listen, I love BlueChew. Why? It's in your pocket. You bump into a victim, you make a look up in the sky at a birdie, you pop the BlueChew, and you're ready to sling. BlueChew wants everybody to have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it, Jack. They got a special deal for the joint family. Try BlueChew for free and use promo code Joey at checkout. It's going to cost you $5. Free to try BlueChew. Are you kidding me? That's BlueChew.com, promo code Joey to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more important details and safety information. And thank BlueChew for sponsoring the joint. Let's get this party started, Jack.
Check 1, 2. Welcome to Uncle Joey's Joint.
What's happening, you savages? It's Monday the 6th of March. What does that tell you? Jesus Christ. Where is the time going? It's already March the 6th. It's crazy. But it was a great weekend. It was a great week last week. I'm feeling good. Everybody's doing good. Congratulations to John Jones last night. You know, I made a video on Saturday for you guys. I talk a lot of shit, you know, and I always push DraftKings and whatnot. I love DraftKings. It's been I didn't mess around with sports for the whole time I was doing comedy. I was so focused in on it. And now, you know, I enjoy, like the little fucking things I got left, I enjoy just to watch a game from time to time. It's not like I watch sports all the time. But at night, sometimes, you know, the game started at 7:30. My house don't get going till 9. Sometimes I watch the first quarter of a game. Then I do something. I try to write jokes for Lee. I try to write in my journal, you know, shit like that.
Jokes for Lee.
Nah, that's my little dog. I'm always writing jokes for Lee. Listen, I can't write in my voice no more because I don't even know what the fuck my voice is anymore. So I ghostwrite for Lee, you know, and that's it. And I push him. Like last night I gave him a joke. He was in Orlando Saturday night. So all week I was thinking about a joke for Lee. And I'm like, what can I do for Lee for Saturday night? Because Lee's at a point right now in his comedy career. He's been doing comedy, let's say, 4 years. So what I try to do is I try to, you know, give him the easy jokes. But then I'm trying to write jokes for him that I wrote for myself at the 4-year mark and I wasn't ready to say. And people are like, Joey, what the fuck are you talking about? Sometimes you write a joke that's so strong that you're at a level that you're not prepared to deliver it. And you'll deliver it and you'll say it 50 times, you'll giggle, but nobody else gives a fuck about your stupid joke and you'll throw it away. But in time, you'll realize that joke was maybe written a little too strong for where you are talent-wise. And it happens all the fucking time. So I wanted to test him this week. So I go, you know what? Let me give him like a fucking racy joke. He's in Orlando. There's a joke I've been working for like 3 years that I don't have the balls to say. And it came and it went, so it was an old joke. But you could still use it in a late form, and it was when the gay guy in the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, he shot all those gay people, like 90 people. So one day I was sitting and I'm like, man, if he shot all those people, there's got to be some gay ghosts around. People who got stuck on the fucking frontier, who didn't make it all the way to heaven or hell or wherever the fuck their mission was to be going. I go, so that means when you go to Orlando, there's got to be gay ghosts. Wouldn't that be funny if you're in your room at Disneyland, all of a sudden you hear like, boo, you know, you're like, what the fuck? And it's those gay ghosts that got shot. So it's not a great joke, and I haven't set it up yet. But last night I called Lee, Saturday night I called Lee, and I'm like, hey, bro, fucking, this is a good joke for you to try. We were dying of laughter on the phone. I don't know what the final conclusion was, what joke he was going to try. You know, I told him if you try this joke, they'll definitely not have you back, which is always a good sign. Sometimes it's a great sign when a club doesn't want to have you back. You don't know that at the time, but sometimes it's just a dingy bar or some club where the owner's fucking thinks he's fucking Mitzi Shore and he's not. So that's part of sometimes at night I just write a fucking joke for Lee. I'll think of something, you know, and I'll open up his mind with it. Because sometimes it's not a joke that you could use, but sometimes it's the choice of opening your mind, you know. I subscribe to a betting newspaper. It cost me dollars on the cents, just so I could read about sports because I haven't really caught up to it. Do you think I use their picks? Not at all. They send me picks every night. I don't gamble every night. Do you think I use their picks? No. You know why I read their picks? So it opens up my mind. Sometimes they'll just say, listen, look at this guy. He scored 30 points in 4 games. Maybe tonight he's going to go under 30. I'll think about it. Sometimes it's just opening your mind. You can't tell that joke. It's funny because last week I told what had happened, what the anxiety that drove me to, you know, just everything that was going on for the podcast. But one of the things that I also want to address is something that somebody else said to me recently. They said that about 2 years ago, before the pandemic, they reached out to me for a spot at a comedy show, and I told them no, and they thought that I was a liar, that I don't help other comics. And I was reading the thing because I had heard that before, that people were mad at me, young comics were mad at me, like when I say, pick up the phone and call people. And then I'd use a story when somebody called me, and I didn't know how to really break that down for people. And it's all broken down by the intention. The intention, okay? When I was a young comic, likely 4 or 5 years, yes, I was impressionable. I was impressed by comics like, Carlos Mencia, Doug Stanhope, Wendy Liebman, Jackie Flynn. There was a complete different stock of stand-up comics that were on the working circuit then. Rocky LaPorte, Andrew Dice Clay was just finishing up a huge fucking massive arena tour. Roseanne was blowing up. All these people were blowing up. We didn't have the camera. We didn't have a lot of things. We didn't have the phone with the video in it. We didn't have a lot of those things. So it was hard work based. Whatever you're going to do, it's always hard work based. Whether you're going to be a fucking piano player, whatever the fuck. When a comic would come to town, like Felicia Michaels did in '94, I got a guest set to Felicia Michaels. And afterward, I went up on stage during the guest set. I bombed, whatever, but I didn't go down there for Felicia to save my life. Are you with me here? I didn't go down there for somebody to save my life. I always knew that nobody could save my life. I knew that if I believed, I didn't know this, I believed that if I put hard work in, that I would get better at something. If I put hard work into anything, I believe I'm going to get better on it, right? So the first big comic I met that wasn't big at the time, but he was big, was Doug Stanhope. He was big to me. He was doing a lot better than I was. I was an MC and he was a feature. In my world, he didn't need to be on TV. He was doing a lot better than me. When I met Doug, I didn't know that comics took other comics on the road. I didn't know any of that stuff. I was ripe. I was just impressed with Doug and his skills. When we finished the show, Doug was talking about if I knew a hotel in the area to stay in, and I'm like, yeah, but listen, I don't know what you're getting paid here tonight, but it's probably not a lot. Why don't you stay at my house? When I offered that to Doug, I didn't offer that to Doug for him to change my life. I offered it to Doug as a fucking, just being a good guy. I want to save you $50. Because even when I was a criminal, my motto was always to make somebody's day. Some days it meant, me robbing you, but I didn't make your day, but I made my day. But that was basically it. So I helped him, but my intentions were pure. When he came back a year later, he was headlining. I was still an MC, and I was impressed with him even more. And I still didn't ask him. I didn't even know what to ask him. I would ask him a few questions about stand-up. I mean, what is this like? Shit like that. And then other comics I became friends with. When the Triple Run, I worked there for 2 years. 2 comics came in. That's 104 comics a year. That's 208 in 2 years I worked with. And I don't remember any of them past. And seriously, all those comics were headliners in 1991. And they were probably in their 40s. And they probably it's a Triple Run. So when you're a headliner, you're on a Triple Run, it's not that your career is on the way up. I don't mean to disrespect anybody. When you're a young guy and you're doing Triple Runs, your career is on the way up. But when you're an old guy like me doing Triple Runs, it's because your career is in the fucking toilet. So those guys that I worked with were probably moved on to something else. I'm not mad at them. I'm not saying anything bad about them. And that's why I stood, and I stayed on that path till whatever. I didn't open up for a comic ever till I got to L.A. I think Paul Rodriguez asked me to open for him. Rogan asked me a couple times. But when they asked me to open for them, yes, I wanted to make a good impression. so they could continue taking me on the road, but I wasn't going to commit to just them taking me on the road. I was also going to do my work on the side, keep hustling work, and whatever work they had was a cherry on the sundae. You know, that's how I'm putting it. So I went to the Comedy Store after that, and yes, I became friends with Joe. Joe was on news radio. Again, I did not become his friend because he was on a TV show. I became his friend because we were comics working on the same fucking goals. He was a lot ahead of me, but that didn't change who my goals were. I still had to keep fucking working. And that's my story on that. For some reason, and guys, I help anybody who asks me for help comedically, and I'm very honest with them, and I'll tell them what's going on. But I saw this the last couple of years that I was in Los Angeles and the last couple of years that I was on tour. People were looking to get saved. That's a different story than help. Lee Syatt was always looking for help. He was not looking to be saved. Mike was looking for help. He was not looking to be saved. That's a big difference. I became friends with a lot of, when I was first started doing the church, you know, I would talk to we had a Google messengers, like Google page. I think Felicia set it up. Dog, I would wake up with 100 fucking messages a day. And I would answer every one of them, and 50 of them were stand-ups wanting advice. And I would answer every which one of them. But then I started noticing I was getting this one email from this one guy. And he was the best comic in the world. And, you know, like, I mean, it was fucking mind-boggling, the shit I was reading. And I had like 10 of these guys that they were the best comics in the world. They were going to do this. They were going to do that. They were going to change the world with comedy. But they wanted my help. Like, I can't wait to get to L.A. to get on stage with you. Okay. You know, I can't wait either. I can't wait to see you. I really can't. From all this shit you're telling me, I am fucking excited. I'm, you know. And then they come to L.A. and, listen, when I went to L.A. the first couple weeks, yeah, I went up to the store one night and I happened to know, I knew these people from before I got there. I knew Mencia. I knew James Stevens III. I knew Doug Stanhope, but I knew them from the road. They had seen me working. You follow me? They had seen me at different places. When I see you at fucking Dr. Quinn's in fucking Lansing, Michigan, and then I see you 3 months later and I'm in Miami, but you're working at Fort Lauderdale with a headliner I know. And then 3 months later, I'm in Tempe, and I'm at the Tempe Improv, and you're at the fucking Phoenix Improv, and we see each other at the airport. I could tell you're putting in the work. I didn't know what these other guys were doing. So they would come to L.A., and then they would go, the first question was, Joey, can you get me into the Comedy Store? And I'm like, no. I mean, I don't even know you. How can I refer you if I don't know you? You're a fucking scumbag. Fuck you. You told me you would help. I didn't tell you anything. I just told you I can't wait to see you. And now you want to move in? You want me to fire Lee? I had people tell me, fire Lee. I want to move in and I want to be a regular at the store. Just like that. I didn't know these people from the fucking road. I never bumped into them on the road. Or they'd call me and go, or they'd hit me with an email on Thursday and go, Joey, you're coming to fucking Kentucky this week. Can I feature for you? Again, I don't know you. Number one. Number two, I know Dean Del Rey. I know Lee Syatt. I know D'Agostino Zoida. I know the one girl that works at the Comedy Store with her husband who's a doorman, and she's the ticket girl at the store. And I know that they fight every week for fucking spots. And I know that D'Agostino's out 6, 7, 8 nights a week in L.A. I know Dean Del Rey is out 8 nights a week in L.A. And I know Lee's out at a fucking comedy place paying $5 a show, doing 3 shows a fucking night. You know, this is the fucking truth here. I know these guys. I know what they're doing. And I know they need rent money, even though they're working their ass off. So I'm sorry that I don't know you, Pete fucking Smith, and I can't give you a feature spot. And now you're mad at me and you're going to tell everybody I'm a scumbag because I didn't fucking use you. But I used one of my friends that I know is working hard and I know is putting the time in. Unlike you, I had no idea what the fuck you're doing. You're just looking to get on stage, do good, and hopefully somebody brings you to Rogan and you're... I wish it worked that way. I wish it worked that way. So for people to get fucking angry with me, like comics, young comics, like, he says this about comics, but he never helped us. Guys, we have our own circle to work with already. I have guys that I've known for 10 years that are doing the work in LA, and they are killing themselves. And they are taking planes to make $200 and lose money on a plane ticket. You know how many times I know for a fact Dean and D'Agostino were breaking even? Like they were going to they were going to lose $200 by featuring at your club. So instead, I give them money for a plane ticket. I give them an extra money because I know they're busting their fucking ass. So for you to go around spreading rumors that Uncle Joey never helped me with comedy, that's pretty fucking bad. And you know how many guys I did help with comedy in LA and they all failed me? Do you have any fucking idea? How many gigs I got for people? You know how many times I got gigs for people and they would call me and go, that wasn't a good gig.
That's rude.
You just moved here from Iowa where you were doing gigs for fucking Penguins or whatever the fuck you were doing. I get you a gig at Flappers. Like I got a gig at Flappers and he was talking shit about me. And I got them to give him $150. This guy had never made $1 in his life. So after that, you're like, why should I help people? These people just, we have our own little fucking, you have your own little pen. You have your own little bullpen of people. And I love me. And I had Eric Roker too, the gay guy. That motherfucker does 5 sets a night and sucks 3 dicks. That dude is working 7 nights a week. That dude was doing 3 fucking sets a night. Now he's featuring. Now he's fucking featuring at the Improv, Doc Willis. All these guys, I knew they were putting the work in. So for you people that I disappointed by not helping you, by not giving you a guest set because a guest set was going to change your life, a guest set's not going to change your life. And if, you got to remember, here's the other thing with guest sets. I started giving out guest sets when I was on the road. Comics would come and they'd go, yeah, I've been doing comedy for 2 weeks and shit. I was in San Jose one time and some comic was emailing me. And even though I had a full lineup, I went against my best wishes on an early show and put this guy up. Me, the stage tech, everybody told this guy 7 minutes. We got a full show tonight, 7 minutes. Do you know what time this guy got off? 22 minutes.
Oh, you got the cane now.
And this is what I'm saying. When you have a sold-out show and you're doing 6 of those shows, whether it's a theater, in the theater I would never give a guest set because no. But if we're in a club, I'll give you a guest set. But the problem with a fucking club is that once you give out one guest set, you got to give out a guest set every fucking weekend. And guys, my job is to get in and out of there. My job is not to keep, is by putting 20 comics up and distancing me and the audience for an hour before I get up there. I'm going to walk up to a dead audience. Does anybody ever even think of that? No, Joey's a scumbag. He wouldn't give me a guest set. Does anybody ever think of that? Does anybody ever think of how hard I worked to get that audience in here? And I'm going to have somebody just come in and insult them. You know how many people come in and go, you guys suck because you didn't laugh at me. This is a real audience. This is an audience that I've been cultivating for 20 years through podcasts, other shows. And I'm going to let you come in here with your stupidity and go up there and say, I'm going to kick her like the fetus of an aborted baby. You know, is that what the audience wants to hear? So do you understand me, guys? You're living in a fucking, I have to see you before I put you up. I have to know you. That's with anything. If you're doing a renovation on your house and fucking the guy, and you're going to give the guy fucking $5,000 to fix a door or a sink or whatever the fuck, you're going to check a reference. Right? I mean, am I okay to say that? You're going to check a reference. So what am I going to do? Make you audition in front of my thing on a Tuesday? On a Thursday night, you're going to show up with 8 people and you're going to go up there and try to fucking ruin a show for somebody? We cultivated that audience, whether it's me, whether it's fucking Steve Byrne, whether it's Theo Vaughn, whether it's Josh Wolf. We cultivated that audience since day one, and you want to come and poach. Nobody ever asked you to do a guest set when you have 8 people in the audience. Let's just keep it at that, okay? Let's just keep it at that. Where's the motherfuckers that call you up to fucking go, hey, you got 8 tickets sold tonight. Do you mind if I come down and do a guest set? But you want to get your ass down there when I have 400 people. So people always understand we live on a fucking jaded fucking thing here. Something else happened this week that was really fucking interesting. Man, in life you have great friends, you have acquaintances, you have so many different things. And you really can't put your finger on what it is with everybody that you have, I wish I saw Mike more. Mike lives fucking an hour from here. I wish I could call Mike and go, Mike, let's go get a fucking Subway sandwich. Or, Mike, let's go do this. But it doesn't happen. We live too far to fucking hang out. Right now I'm living around a lot of acquaintances and I'm enjoying it. I fucking love it. But a couple weeks ago I got a call from a friend of mine. And she goes, hey, listen, I haven't spoken to you in a while. I know you've been busy. I've been busy traveling. Do you mind if we get together for lunch? And I'm like, no. And, when I moved back here, I thought I would see her a lot more than everybody. Her name is Lisa. I met her in the 8th grade. We were in the 8th grade together, and we had a sports thing in the high school. And I met her. Hello, how you doing? My name is Lisa. We had a mutual friend. And then that summer, I would see her at North Bergen Pool. And I thought this girl was beautiful. But I also had no confidence. I just didn't think she would ever date a guy like me. So I never even got her into that realm, Whenever I saw her, I would think of my mother, that you can't fuck everybody. You got to keep some women as your friends. And with her, when I was 14, I wanted to fuck everybody. Teachers, nuns, fucking bakers. I didn't give a fuck, When you're 14, you want to fuck the bakery lady. You don't give a fuck. But I don't know. Something made me look at her and go, you know what? I don't want to even go over that line. We'll just leave it at hello, goodbye. And I would see her at North Bergen Pool. We were kids. And I would love to look at her in a bikini. And, when she was like going into freshman year or something, because she was always a year older than I was. And I would just watch her with a bikini. And, I never even told nobody. Like, it's not like I liked her as a girlfriend. I just thought she was good looking. And I thought that nothing would ever happen. So I kept talking to her, and then freshman year, she got better looking. And freshman basketball, I was playing freshman basketball, and the track would have practice after freshman basketball, and I would sit there and watch her run hurdles. Her and a blonde girl this blonde girl now lives in Oak Ridge, and she's a fucking hottie too. I haven't seen her since high school. But I used to watch both of them and go, wow, they're fucking beautiful. The girl I had a crush on had great legs, and not even a crush. I just thought she was hot, but she was my friend. I never thought that nothing would happen. I kept being her friend, and I was friends with her and all her little girlfriends. And then my sophomore year, right before my mother died, a buddy of mine started dating her. No, her girlfriend had a crush on a friend of mine, and this girl came up to me, and she goes, let me ask you a question on the sly. What if me and your friend Lisa hooked up with you and your boy D? And I was like, are you fucking serious? And she's like, yeah. And I go, bro, girl's not going to go on a date with me. And she's like, dog, she wants to go on a date with you. You just been playing like possum with her, trying to be her friend, but she wants to go on a date with you. And I'm like, come on. I was all fucking excited. So we were going to meet on a Friday night or something. That was the scheduled meet, but it had to be on the down low because the one girl had just broken up with her high school boyfriend and he was a lunatic. So she's like, we've got to do this on the down low. So if we can't do it on the down low, we can't do it. So that Friday, it didn't work out. That Saturday was going to be a Halloween party. And the girl, Lisa, finally called me and says, listen, I'm hooking up with you tonight. And I'm like, what the fuck is she saying? You know, I had cologne on. You know, when you're fucking 14, 15, you got cologne on, the whole thing. Yeah, there was no Manscaped or nothing, so. And I went to a party, and somebody came to the party and said, she's around the corner at another party waiting for you. And that girl that came to get me, as we were leaving that party, her boyfriend pulled up. I told that story and got into a fight with her and jumped her, and I had to pull him off her. That was the night. So I never got to this fucking girl, to swap spit with this girl or hold hands with her or whatever I was going to do. Then my mother died, and we went to a different fucking dilemma. I didn't see her. Then she started dating a guy. And then one time we were down the shore, and we would talk, because we were good friends. Like, we were just friends. I had never hit on her. All this shit had happened. Like a year earlier, we were supposed to hook up, and now it's a year later, and we're still friends. But she's dating a very dear friend of mine, a fucking guy that we used to call, like, Godzilla. He was so fucking big. And I'm talking to her down the shore, and somebody told him they were up, like, all night talking. And we weren't up all night talking. She had gotten back from something at like 6 in the morning, and I was still up from the night before, and we were in a fucking living room down the shore at a fucking house, just bullshitting, and somebody told the guy, so he came and threatened me, stop talking to her, and I'm like, dog, I was sitting there with 3 friends, and she came in and started talking to us, which was the truth. And then she was embarrassed, so we didn't talk for like another year. It was the craziest fucking thing in the world. Then they broke up. Then they started breaking up in high school. And then she would talk to me. And I was still a little upset about the fucking thing when I talked to her. And I didn't try to hit on her or nothing. So I kind of stayed away from her. One day she just fucking, I was living with the Runnies, and she just came over. And she's like, listen, man, I know we've had a bumpy history, you know, but I'm very fond of you. And I'm sitting there going, I got no money. I'm living in my friend's basement. What is this girl talking about? You know, why does she fucking continue to, I don't know. We never had sex, nothing. But we used to talk. And then when I moved with the Runnies, she lived around the corner. So we made a deal that we would work out every night. Right? Like, we would get back in tune and work out. So we would go to Hudson County Park where the Martians landed, and we'd run around the lake every night, and then on the way home, we'd stop at Carvel, and we'd smoke pot, and we'd just talk. And if anybody knew my deepest, darkest secrets at the time, it was her. I was going through hell with my stepfather. I was going through hell without my mother. I was telling her all this shit that I was going through, and then it came time to graduate high school, and she was dating a guy. I guess she went back with that same boyfriend, so it was like an apprehensive relationship with me and her. But finally one day, she told the boyfriend, who was a dear friend of mine, who I went to grammar school with, what the fuck was up. And he finally goes, I get it. All right, you guys are friends. And we were. We fucking definitely were friends. And the whole time, there was one time we thought about swapping spit. But we were friends, man. And good friends, like just good friends. And then we started going out at night. We would all go out in a group, me, her, 6 other girls. Nothing ever happened. We'd go out, snort coke, smoke pot, eat Quaaludes. I mean, we were having a good time. We were fucking kids, you know. And then I went, as I was getting ready to go to Colorado in '83, I started talking to her more and more. She was unhappy with her boyfriend at the time. She was unhappy with like her career and shit like that. And we would talk in the afternoons. We'd go get a hash-away sandwich once a week. At night, we'd be together. I mean, 2 nights a week she was with her boyfriend, but the other 5 nights she was always with me. And I don't know, it kind of got a little weird before I left. We started going into those conversations of dating again. But you know what? I had to get the fuck out of here. I was dying. I wasn't making any progress. So I fucking left. And I left on April 5th, 1983, which is her birthday. So I still remember getting in the car and giving her like a birthday card and hugging her and telling her I'd be back soon and shit, but I wasn't coming back. I didn't know what I was doing. And when I went to Colorado, to Aspen, we talked every week. Every week. We would talk on the phone for like an hour. How you doing? And she was struggling. I was lonely, not being around my North Bergen friends and shit. And finally I came back. And, I mean, if I got back on a Sunday night, I saw her an hour or two after I landed. And we were inseparable for those 2 weeks, and nothing happened. And she was one of the reasons that I fucking stayed. It was her and Let the Music Play, that song. I heard that song out at my friend's house, and I'm like, how can I go back to Colorado with this music playing? The coke is so good. The Quaaludes are bumping. What am I going to do in Colorado? Ski? But the real reason was I wanted to get, I was ready for a girlfriend, a full-time girlfriend. So when I came back, we made the mistake and started fucking dating. And I loved her, and she loved me, man. We were having a great time, but you know what? We were into drugs. I was into drugs. She didn't know how bad I was into drugs. And after a couple months, it just didn't work out. I was fucking homeless half the time. Sometimes I had an apartment. I think the worst thing I did was after we broke up, she fucking hated me, and I kept trying to force the hand. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't that she hated me as much as she was disgusted at me, because I had the world by the balls and I was doing drugs and I wasn't paying attention, and everybody was trying to offer me jobs and I wouldn't take them. So I'll never forget, I took her to a New York Net game. The Nets were playing the Sixers or somebody out here at the Meadowlands. It had to be November of '84. I was in bad shape. I had picked up an ounce of coke at 11 in the morning, and now it was 7 o'clock at night, and I was down to a half ounce of coke. And I took her to this game, and at the first period, I've talked about this before, I got up to get us drinks, and I ended up getting the fucking waiter coked up at the Meadowlands Arena. I got up in the beginning of the first quarter, and I didn't come back till there was 2 minutes left in the game. She was pissed. She made me drive her home. She told me to fuck off and the whole thing. And I was fucking heartbroken. And then at the end of my homelessness, I ended up going to a party like December 29th or something like that of '84. And she was there with a new boyfriend, and I made a fucking jerk out of myself. I started crying, the whole fucking thing. I'm not embarrassed to say so. We're all fucking idiots from time to time. Listen, man, I was homeless. I was in bad shape, physically and mentally, and I just put a lot of hope into it. And I knew how much she liked me. And that night we had a little bit of an argument. I said, fuck her. I'm not going to talk to her no more. I can't believe she did this to me in my lowest point. I moved to Colorado, and years later, when I was about to get married, one of my friends came to the wedding, and he pulled me aside, and he goes, hey, man, I talked to Lisa the other day. She sends her love, and she says to call her before you get married. And I was like, what? And she goes, call her before you get married. She wants you to call her and talk to her before you commit to this marriage. And I'm like, I'm not calling that fucking bitch. I'm not going to call her. I ended up getting married. And then years later, I got divorced. And then when I came back here 30 years ago, I got a job working at a deli. I was embarrassed. I didn't want anybody to know. And one day as I'm walking out to get in the car, she's outside. And she's like, hey, man, what are you doing? She's like, I heard you're back in town and you're working here. And I told her how embarrassed I was and the fucking whole thing. And, we became tighter than ever. She picked me up that night and she introduced me to her husband. She goes, I want you to meet my husband. He's a good guy. He wants to meet you. I told him all about you, and I met him, and I got it. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't upset. I wasn't anything. She had done great with her life, And then I left and I started doing comedy, and she would come to my shows with her husband. And I wasn't very good then, but she would support me. This is before anybody would come to my shows. She would come to shows when I was a fucking feature act and shit. She would go to Bananas and fucking the other place in West Orange. I forget what his name. Anyway, she would go to all those clubs. She went to Sea Caucus, to Hula Hands to see me once, and I got booed. And she was always my friend and shit, you know. And then, like about maybe 15 years ago, my friends were at a barbecue or at some party, and some other guys were talking some shit about me, and she fucking read them a fucking riot act. Like, she's like, fuck you motherfuckers. You don't know what he's been through in his life as a kid, his stepfather. I mean, she knew everything. She knew what I was suffering. You know, I would only tell her, you know. And it got back to me that she stuck up for me. And I called her up and I go, hey man, I heard what happened at that party. I know who was talking shitty about me, and I know that you went on a fucking hook for me. Thank you. And she's like, don't worry about it. They don't know dick, blah, blah, blah. So this girl had my back when there was nothing. There was no storytelling. There was no longest yard. There was nothing. She was already telling people, go fuck yourself. He's going to do great. Shut the fuck up. What have you done with your life? I mean, she was already batting for me. So when I got Spider-Man 2, I got invited to the cast and crew. I really couldn't do nothing. You know, I just took my wife. Cast and crew is like a fucking washed up premiere, you know, without the lights and the photographers and shit. You just go there. They don't give you nothing to eat. They don't give a fuck about you. But I don't give a fuck. But for the longest yard, they told me I could bring 8 people. I don't know if you guys know this. I brought 7 guys and 1 girl. And that girl was my friend Lisa. Because she believed in me so fucking much. I didn't even take my wife to that fucking premiere, but I took this girl to that premiere. That's just to let you know. I took her to that one. I took, I think, 6 of my friends and 1 of the teachers. I think I took Mr. T to that one. And then for the grudge match premiere in New York City, I brought Mercy's godfather. I brought Mr. T. No, I brought Mr. Barone, my other teacher. And I brought Lisa. She never brought her husband to any of the premieres. She always went with me. And for the Many Saints of Newark premiere, I brought Lisa. Because I don't forget shit, guys. So when I got here, it was COVID, and I really couldn't see her, even though she lives 25 minutes from me. She has parents that are old, and she was like, Coco, I'd love to see you and the baby and your daughter, but I can't because I got to go see my parents, and they're old. You know, everybody was scared about their parents. Now nobody gives a fuck. But, so we didn't really see each other a lot during the pandemic. And then she came to the premiere September 22nd. She came to my house here one night to dinner with her girlfriends, and I had a little get-together here, and she said she'd stop by. She went to El Nido, and then she came with her husband to El Nido, and she stopped by. She came up by the house, and I talked to both of them, but then I haven't seen her, you know, so it was weird because I was like, you know what, man, she's one of my friends that this just went away. You know, listen, we all grew up. Everybody's busy with their own lives. And she called me for my birthday, and she goes, hey, man, I didn't forget it's your birthday. I'm going to be busy this weekend and next weekend, but can we do lunch on a Wednesday? And I was like, absolutely. At first, I was a little apprehensive. I didn't know if I had to do the fucking audio book or what the fuck I was doing. And we went and met. Guys, I got there at 12:15. I forgot I was there. And at 3 o'clock, she says, it's 3 o'clock. I had to fucking run out of there to meet Mercy. That's how involved we were in our conversation. It was like we had no time between us. Us sitting there, because we were sitting at the bar. We used to go to Hudson County Park, and we used to sit at the park bench, and we'd look out into the river, and we just talk without looking at each other. So a lot of times this week, when I was eating my meal, I was talking, And we were talking, and I wasn't looking at her, and I kept thinking about us being kids at Hudson County Park. I was like, wow, this takes me back. I mean, this is 1984, 3. When we used to walk around that fucking lake in the winter, the summer. We're going 40 back. 40 fucking years with this person. That's 40 fucking years. And you figure 5 years before that, going to clubs and eating Quaaludes and jumping up and down and fucking. But she knew my frame of mind for a long time. And I told her, I never lied to her. I told her what was in my head, what was in my heart. And she used to go, Joey, I'm just going to Coco. She doesn't call me Joey at all. She goes, Coco, I'm going to fucking pray for you. But this Wednesday, we just talked about life, family, what happened all those years, you know, what happened to our friends, what happened to our relationships with them. And I left there, I don't know, I can't even tell you what I felt when I got in the car. And I can't even tell you how I felt that night. But the next day I woke up and I had a missed call from her. And I called her back and I go, hey, man, did you fall asleep after lunch? Because I came home. I played with Mercy for a while. My wife got home and I told them all, I got to take a nap. I think I got all proteined up from the meal. I don't know what the fuck happened. I think just we were both so excited. We hadn't seen each other that after we left, she said she passed out. She couldn't keep her eyes open. And I came home and fell asleep for a fucking hour. That's how great it was just to see her. And I tell people all the time, man, listen, I really enjoyed talking to my therapist when I needed Dana from BetterHelp. I had a great time talking to her. I think the best therapy is just seeing somebody that knows you inside and out sometimes and just talking. We didn't discuss any of our problems. We just discussed what we had been through the last year, you know, what she was going through with her parents. Her dad's 85. He can't drive. I remember working for her dad, okay? Her dad was a fucking animal. When I used to bartend in the city, you know, I'm snorting coke so I could use every dollar I can. It didn't matter. I was making $600 a week and $300 in tips. That wasn't enough for my lifestyle. Fuck no. So I had to paint bathtubs. You never heard me telling those stories. Her father got put in a halfway house when he was younger for bookmaking. In New Jersey, you can't bookmake. It's a felony. Great fucking story. And while he was at the halfway house, they brought him to a small business convention. And he bought a franchise on bathtubs. Like, people who come to your house, and instead of you buying a new tub, they resurface it, and they paint it, and they guarantee it, and you got a new fucking tub. And when I met him, he had been out of the halfway house like 15 years already, 20 years, but the business had grown. He had like 4 guys working for him. So one day I'm over there with him, and he's like, you look like a big guy. You know, Lisa's boyfriend, you should come work with me. And I'm like, okay. So I would do it Monday nights and Saturdays and Sundays. Fucking great job, guys. He showed up with a truck. I pulled out paint and another fucking milk container and a compressor. I would go in the bathroom. I would wash the tub with fucking, you know, women's gloves, those plastic gloves. I would wash the tubs, and then I would dry the tub, and then I would have to put some acid on it for 20 minutes, and then I would have to wash the tub out. I'd do all the prepping. I would wash the tub out, get all the acid off the tub, make sure all the old paint was off, and then I'd have to paint. You know, when you paint anything, you gotta fucking tape it off and put paper. I would do that, and then I'd go get him a 12-pack of Budweiser in cans. I'd go get 2 6-packs of Bud in cans, the coldest ones, and I bring them back, and he had a cooler already with an ice block on the bottom. He's the guy who taught me how to drink Budweiser cold. I love Budweiser beer. I don't give a fuck about your HMO. I don't give a fuck about your IJE. You know those beers people drink? What are they? What are they called? IAB or whatever. IPA. I don't give a fuck. There ain't nothing better than a Budweiser. When it's cold in a can, there's no beer that's better than that. Or, second honorable mention, a fucking freezing Heineken. A freezing Heineken that gets put into an ice-cold mug listen, go fuck yourself with your IJP or whatever the fuck you call it. Nothing better than this motherfucker would put 2 6-packs of Budweiser in a fucking cooler on a sheet of ice and then put a bunch of ice on top of it. He'd have like 3 or 4 left. So by the time I come back with the beer, we could start on that one. Yeah. And by the time we got to this one, and I shouldn't say we, unless he had a mouse in his pocket, because I only got to drink one of those motherfuckers. He would only give me 1. I was only allowed to drink 1. After I did that whole process, I would crack that fucking Budweiser, and he would drink the another 11 Budweisers in the time it got to paint it and seal it. And then once I did the fucking whatever, I was done. I would just take the tape off. He would fucking wash it with some water to seal it, and we would get the fuck out of there. So it was 3 hours total, maybe 2.5 hours, 3 hours if there were stairs, and he would pay me like $85. So I was making $250 a week just from her father. And if I got into a coke pinch, I could ask her father to give me an advance, and I would work it off. So one time we broke up, and I owed him money, and I'm like, I'm not paying him. We broke up. And she's like, you got to pay my dad. I don't care if you don't want to date me no more, but you got to pay my dad. So I had to fucking do the bathtubs while she was dating somebody else that sucked dick. But it was, she called me the next day and she's like, can we talk? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, bro, that was fucking phenomenal. She goes, I go on away with trips. I do this, I do that. I go to concerts. And that's the best 3 hours I've spent with somebody in a long fucking time. And we just talked about our lives and what had been going on. But like, I'm here to tell you, man, I love therapy. I love talking to people about shit when I have it going on. But there's always that one fucking friend that is better than therapy. She really is better than therapy. You could just call her up, tell her what's going on, and she'll just tell you what's happening with your life. And that's what happened this week. It took an outsider to look at me and go, this is what's going on with you. She goes, I see it right. I see you. You're right in front of me. She goes, I saw you before you went to prison. I know you when you were a kid. I saw you before you got into drugs. I saw you while you were on drugs. I saw you before you went to prison, before you were homeless, after you were homeless. And she goes, you're doing the best that I've ever seen you. She goes, you shouldn't worry about anything. I mean, she goes, you look healthy, which, thank you. You guys keep telling me I don't feel that fucking healthy. I got to pee every fucking 15 goddamn minutes, so I don't feel that fucking healthy. But it's just great. I think that when I said I wanted to come back here and reconnect with friends, I think it meant friend. I think it meant I really like her a lot. Since Wednesday, we've talked like maybe 3 times about different things in life. She's thinking of retiring. Her husband's retiring in April. I mean, it's just like we met each other at a different part of the fucking bridge. And it's just great to know that you've had friends for that long, that you've kept it together. You know, I was starting to feel a little, I don't know, ever since I got back here. You know, my friends all have their own lives now and stuff like that, and I had to put that all into perspective. It's not when we were kids and we were going to fucking 6 games and 3 nights a week. It's all changed. We all have families and we all have obligations. But I got to tell you something, man. It's important. And, you know, when I got back here, I was going out to dinners with friends, like 3 or 4 buddies at a time. We would go out to dinner. And I was having a good time, but I wasn't really feeling fulfilled. You know, like, it was just felt like I went out to dinner. This the other day felt like I think I have to do more one-on-one. Like, it felt I got something out of it, and she got something out of it, and so did I. So if you have a good friend, maybe this week is a good week to fucking call them. Somebody you haven't spoken to in a while that knows you inside and out. Because we don't really think about these people a lot in our fucking busy worlds. Maybe they're going through something and you haven't called them in a while. Maybe it's time to call that person. I'm happy that just sometimes talking about what's going on in your world with somebody who knows you with no obligation. You know, sometimes you have like an aunt, they're related to you. You know, I could talk to my wife. She's known me for 23 years. But this girl knows me when I was the happiest I was, when I had a mom. She knew me in my darkest times. She knew me in the struggle. And now she knows me now that I accomplished becoming a man. And with all of the doubts I had and I didn't have many of them lately, but I think meeting with her and just talking with her for that 3 hours made a big difference. And all I want to tell you guys, the Monday motivation is that, those friends you haven't heard from in a while because of the pandemic fucked up shit for a lot of fucking people. And it fucked up shit for me in my communication with some people. Some people took it the wrong way or whatnot. Listen, if you haven't talked to somebody in a long time and you've been like a breath to this person, check up on them this week. In fact, I'm going to check up on a couple guys this week that it's time, that we were friends since grammar school. And ever since I got back here, I've said we're going to get together, from Ray Cannella to Mr. Barone, my teacher. I'm going to bring him a copy of the book. So I think that doing that last week really put a wind in my sail. And maybe it'll help you out. Maybe you don't need a wind in your sail. I don't need dick, Joey. I just need to sling dick and smoke pot. Maybe you can have that too. It's March fucking 6th, cocksuckers. This is the Monday motivation. Have a great week. Stay black. And don't forget Amazon.com. You can pre-order fucking tremendous The Uncle Joey Story. That's it, and that's that. I love you, motherfuckers. And now for a word from our motherfucking sponsors. All right, I want to thank you, little fucking savages, for coming on Monday. Thank you for the little morning motivation. Call your friends, cocksuckers. The ones that matter, not the other shithead ones. Anyway, the joint is brought to you by Manscaped. Listen, you already know Manscaped has your balls covered like a fucking rug. Now you can try Manscaped Beard Hedger Pro Kit. It comes with 20 different hair cutting lengths for your face. You're going to look out beautiful. And it's all at a turn of the dial. You don't got to change out attachments or nothing. Plus, it's waterproof, and you can change anywhere. And Manscaped's going to send you some beard oil and beard balm that will keep you looking like a fucking doctor. And since Manscaped wants you to have all the tools for the job, they're throwing in a brush, a comb, and scissors to make you look like Johnny fucking Ventura before the operation. So get 20% off and free shipping with code Joey at manscaped.com. Again, that's 20% off and free shipping with code Joey at manscaped.com. The Manscaped Beard Pro Hedger Kit, the premier solution to your face. Listen, we're showing up with BlueChew today on a Monday. Why? Because it's that time of the year when the birds are chirping. It's time to sling dick. BlueChew is an online service that delivers ED medicine straight to your door. Same active ingredients as Levitra, Cialis, and Viagra, but a fraction of the cost. Listen, BlueChew is tremendous. You don't got to go to the doctor. You don't got to tell nobody a lie. Just fill out some questions, talk to the doc, and within 48 hours, you'll have a box in your house, and you'll be ready to jump up and down. BlueChew wants you to have better sex like a banshee. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it, Jack. They got a special deal for the joint listeners. Try BlueChew for free. Joey, what are you talking about? Free! When you use promo code Joey at checkout, just pay $5 for shipping. That's BlueChew.com. Promo code Joey to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and safety information. And the joint is also brought to you by Stamps.com. 2023 is ticking by along. Who's got time to go to the store, to the post office to get stamps? You? Not me either. Especially if you run a small business, you need Stamps.com. Print your postage from home or office. They'll even send you a free scale so you have everything you need to send the package out. Tip-top Magoo. I've been with Stamps.com for 12 years. They're the best. Why? Because they save money, time, and energy. With postage rates on the rise, Stamps.com offers the lowest rates in the industry. Set your business up for success when you get started with Stamps.com today. Sign up with promo code Joey for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and free digital scales. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter code Joey. I want to thank Stamps.com. I want to thank BlueChew. And I want to thank Manscaped.com. But most importantly, I want to thank you motherfuckers for having my back. Stay black, have a great week, and I'll see you cocksuckers next Monday the 13th. Love you.